Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Friday, I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company on the show tonight. No Ruffy, Barry Ferguson is in there alongside a lethal striker in Scott McDonald. That's not too bad for us on this Friday show. A really good midfielder, okay, a great midfielder, I don't want to milk it too much for him, and a man who knows his way to goal. We could do with a midfielder for Scotland. That's just one of the topics we will be discussing on the show. I mentioned the fact we could do with a midfielder. We could definitely do with a striker, Scott. I just wish you had a Scottish granny, because it's becoming really worrying, this whole call-off. Kieran Tierney out. I think he becomes the 9th player calling off. Alec must think he's jinxed.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? They're just dropping like flies. I do have a Scottish granny, by the way, Peter. Yeah. But unfortunately, I chose some other country to play for rather than yours.
Where's his loyalty, Barry?
But yeah, it's almost picking itself now, isn't it? It's just got to the point of being ridiculous, you know, for Alex McLeish and the Scotland national team. So looking at it, you see it on paper, it more or less picks itself almost now. Yeah,
it's a tough one to call. We'll take a look at that. Of course, our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looks ahead to the doubleheader.
Scotland travel to Skoda to face Albania on Saturday night. Both teams are on 3 points, with Israel out on front on 6, but Scotland have played a game less than the other two countries. Scotland beat Albania 2-0 at Hampden Park in September, with Stephen Naismith and an own goal making a difference that night, giving them the best possible start in the Nations League. However, last month, Scotland lost 2-1 to Israel, despite a Charlie Mulgrew penalty opening the scoring. McLeish got it all wrong that evening, with a severely underwhelming performance putting pressure on the Scotland boss. There are several permutations that see Scotland top the group, but his team know they must beat Albania and Israel to guarantee they finish in first place. McLeish has had a spate of call-offs to his squad, never mind the absence of key players Lee Griffiths, Stephen Naismith and John Souttar through long-term injuries. The Scots are also missing Stephen O'Donnell, Charlie Mulgrew, Craig Gordon, Kevin McDonald, Ryan Jack, Mikey Devlin and John McGinn, all through injury as well. Kieran Tierney has dropped out at the last minute, leaving the right back spot in the team vacant, and either David Bates or Jack Hendry will partner Scott McKenna at centre half. One of Ryan Christie, Scott McTominay or Graham Shinnie will take John McGinn's place in central midfield, and it is yet to be seen who will lead the line. Will it be veteran Stephen Fletcher, recalled to help with the injury crisis, or perhaps Callum Patterson, the utility man who has scored 3 in his last 4, playing up top for Cardiff City in the Premier League? Rangers winger Eros Grezda and Livingston's Egli Kaja are in the Albania squad for Saturday, with both players quoted this week on how confident the Albania side is in their own ability. However, Aberdeen captain Graham Shinnie has said Scotland are capable of taking all 3 points.
If we can play our full potential, we know it's a game that we can go and win. So it's a game that the whole squad's looking forward to, and like I said, trying to turn things around from the last result.
It's crunch time now for McLeish, and he will hope that a tough away game in Eastern Europe is not the undoing of another attempt to end the 22-year wait of making it to a finals tournament.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good after you listen to Gabriel there. So many players have called off. Here's a possible team, Barry. See what you think of this. I've put it together. There's a couple that I'm even debating myself, but McGregor is an absolute shoe-in. I've stuck in Patterson at right back, maybe Bates. I still think maybe Jack Hendry, because he played with McKenna before. But other than that, I mean, does it pick itself?
Yeah, well, I think the obvious choice is for the right back is Patterson. I know he's playing in a different position down at Cardiff, but he's played there for Hearts on a number of occasions. Bates, he's brought in Jack Hendry. That's my probably only one that I would think he may come in, because he's had the experience of playing international football before. But we were talking off air, Scott made a good point. Bates has been playing week in, week out over in Hamburg, so he might just get the nod for me.
Yeah. How important is it to at least have, it's a young squad, but how important is it with Bates coming in, who hasn't sampled it before. I mean, is that a disadvantage to him? Because sometimes you like to get some sense of understanding at central defence.
Yeah, I suppose so, but they're both. I mean, if you look at your options, they're all young and very inexperienced. Playing competitive, games for Scotland. So I think being in and around the training as well, and obviously the coaches, Peter Grant, James McFadden, Alex McLeish, they'll all look at obviously David Bates and see what he's like, in and around the group itself, and seeing the type of character that he is. And I think from that you can pretty much get a good sort of feel for whether or not he's ready for that occasion or not. Fergie makes a great point about obviously Hendry being involved before now and playing under those pressures. I similarly said the same thing about Scott Bain being selected, rather than some of the other, goalkeepers that are informed, because he's been in pressure situations. So I suppose that's a big call for Alex McLeish, but I don't think we'll be sitting after this game and sort of complaining about his squad selection, like we've done in probably the previous two games.
Yeah, he hasn't had too many options on it. I mean, middle to front, I still think this, somebody to score goals is a dilemma as well. I still believe that Fletcher is not getting a call just to come and sit on the bench, Barry. Matty Phillips could get in there. Johnny Russell's another option as well.
I think he'll go with Fletcher for the simple fact is he can hold the ball in. Fletch, he's good at that. He's good at bringing other players into play, and it's a big day for the midfielders, because we need to start scoring goals for midfield. I know Armstrong's done it before. For me, McGinn's a big loss, but for me, Ryan Christie's got to come in. The last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been exceptional for Celtic. So it's about time we started scoring goals from other areas.
Well, here's the flip side of it. You've got all these call-offs. I think we should be going to Albania and taking the game to them. But suddenly you're thinking, is Alec going to think to himself, oh, wait a minute, we've lost all these players, we need to be really cautious here?
I don't think that would be the right mindset to have, a negative one going into that game. Look, it's more or less is a must-win. You have to win the game to try and progress and be top of that table. And I think if you sit back, then it more or less invites them onto you and probably doesn't play to some of the players' strengths. You've got players in some fine form there still. If you look at that midfield trio, if they do go for the Celtic trio, and obviously Armstrong's at Southampton now, but played with the other two, Christie and McGregor as well, then I think just that feel-good factor and having them there, go and play on the front foot, but it all depends on who you play up top as well. Do you play Fletcher in there, who can hold it up, but questionably, is he going to run in behind and sort of stretch the game for Scotland? Possibly not. So your point there, bringing Matty Phillips in, that possibly could, or the argument of what we had with Patterson as well, playing up top as well. Yeah.
The other thing about it, which we haven't actually considered, guys, is height. It's an old Gordon Strachan problem, but the Lamb bastarded him at the time, but height is a problem.
Yeah, it is a small team, but going back to that, I look at the two wide boys, Fraser and Forrest are in fantastic form. They're match winners on their day. They're going to be massive on Saturday for me, and I think Alex got to go there and take the game to them. I honestly do. It's Albania we're talking about here.
Yeah.
That we should be going there, even with a depleted squad, thinking that we can get to 3 points, take the game to them, and I think if we do that, we get to 3 points.
Yeah, my only concern with it, I thought they were technically okay. They looked a bit weak in the final third at Albania, but suddenly, as you know, a team can change when they're at home. Suddenly they become a different prospect.
Yeah, the belief's different, isn't it? You play on the front foot, you've got your own fans there as well. Could be a hostile environment. I don't think weather will play a part in this one. Who knows what the pitch will be like. But I think, like Barry touched on there, for Scotland, to be at their best, they need to be positive. They can't sit back and let Albania come onto them. They need to be on the front foot and show their qualities.
Yeah, and over and above that, if they should get a negative result, and I hate to be, Dr. Doom here, but Barry, I think he's under real pressure. I know he'll know that himself, but I think if they lose the game, suddenly he's going into the Israel game with people calling for his head. It's a stonewall certainty.
Yep, he'll know that. He's an experienced manager, Alec. He knows he needs to go here and get the 3 points, and then obviously get the 3 points against Israel. But this is the main game. We can't drop any points over here. And I'm not being disrespectful to Albania. They have got some decent players technically, but they're not a great team. And I know, as I say, we've been depleted with a number of players, but we're still strong enough for me.
Yeah, Alex has been in this position on many an occasion. I can go back to even him starting as a manager. When you think of, people that just didn't take to him.
Yep.
What's he like when he's under pressure? Because he's managed a Rangers side where the expectation was not Rangers going to win a league title. When you think of the strength that Celtic had at the time.
Back then, he had a lot of experienced guys in the dressing room, though. Guys that could handle the pressures put on them. You look at this squad; it is a young squad and an experienced squad as well. But listen, the only way he can be is be positive with a number of call-offs. He's got to be positive, and hopefully they have a positive performance and they go for it.
Yeah, well, here's the one thing that's going to absolutely blow this all wide open, and it's the bit that you've touched on there. No experience. If we lose a goal by some twist of fate or something that goes against us, or a great move by Albania, who knows? If we lose a goal, I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, who is going to drag that team up and say, listen, you need to get your act together. I could see it at times when Scott Brown was in the middle and he could look and he could grab players and maybe get an extra ounce out of them. I'm thinking, leader.
Yeah, you're probably right on that, Peter, in terms of who is your sort of outspoken one, who's your natural leaders within that camp. And I think that's why as well, you have to play on the front foot. You have to get these players playing positively and growing in confidence within the game. But like you rightly touched on, in terms of if they were to go a goal down, how do they react from that? And that's why I feel as well, Barry said it as well, you need to go and play on the front foot and just keep trying to go at Albania, because if you sit off them, it does have a detrimental effect to the mindset of young players.
I can hear a number of Tartan Army people shouting, at the screen and going, well, Andy Robertson's that man. Is he?
Look, he's playing at the highest level. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Do I think he's captain material? I think in a few years he will be. But just now he's learning still. I think there's only one probably leader in that squad would be Alan McGregor, but that's a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I would rather the leaders be outfield. So as I say, it is a worrying point that you made. There's no many leaders in that team, but it can work for you. There's not a lot of experience. They've got nothing to fear. Just let them go out and attack them. And as I say, we have still got people in that team or that squad that can hurt Albania.
Yeah. John Fleck coming in for the Israel game. I don't get it.
Yeah, why is he not in the squad now? Why is he not travelling over to Albania? That's a question only the management and the staff can answer. I think John's been unfortunate as well not to be in previous squads. I think he's been in fine form over the last sort of 12 to 18 months for Sheffield United. So again, though, you would probably expect him just to be within that squad and won't really play a part. And that's why he's not going to Albania. That you would have to say that.
Yeah, and if I was, and I know Alec doesn't read social media or look at any of the websites, but if somebody just showed him a photograph of Lee Griffiths back in full training for Celtic, I'd just go into a darkened room and scalp my head off a wall.
Listen, look, we should be glad that he's back. Hopefully he can get back fit, because as I said before, he got the injury or whatever happened with the pull out of the Scotland squad. For me, a fit Lee Griffiths is the main striker for Scotland. So hopefully he can get himself back fit, get back in the Celtic team, and hopefully he'll get back in the Scotland squad.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that. And of course, great news as well for Christophe Berra. Again, it looked as if he was going to be out for a considerable amount of time. Seems to be targeting an earlier return.
Yeah, it's a huge bonus for Hearts and Craig Levein, isn't it? Having their captain hopefully fitter sooner rather than later. But I think if you're asking Hearts right now, I think they've coped with that quite well in terms of that centre half area. They would want Naismith and Ikpeatsu or someone of the likes to get back in a hurry, because that's where they're really hurting at the moment in front of goal.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch on that a little later in the programme. Of course, that's two players that we could easily have done with at international level. If you have a look at the group, the permutations are there for all to see on this one. Don't worry, we're not going to get into the permutations of what happens after the group because it's too complicated. But nevertheless, if Scotland can get minimum a point, it sets it up brilliantly for Hampden on Tuesday against Israel. So I've got to ask you, lads, we can still, even if it doesn't go according to plan, we can still go into the game with a chance of qualification, providing we defeat Israel by 2 clear goals, possibly 3. But what do you see? Give us your prediction, Scott.
Well, it is a young squad. I think it's going to be very difficult out there to win the match. It's just these international games, there's no easy game that you go into. Yeah, it's all right saying we're better than Albania and we should be, beating teams like this. But when you go in environments like that, especially when you've got such a young squad, it can be difficult. So instead of me ranting and raving, I'm going to give you a score now. And I think it will be a draw. I think 1 each.
Yeah, I thought he was going to suffer from the ultimate roughieism there, which is build them up and then go bang, 2-1 defeat. Barry?
I'll take a draw right now. Right now, I would take a draw.
There is a scared Barry Ferguson.
I'll take a draw, and then I would like to think we could beat Israel at home.
Okay, fingers crossed. Give us your view on it. You can do on Facebook, PLZ Soccer, also at PLZ Soccer on Twitter, and of course on this programme on YouTube as well. Give us your point of view on the game on Saturday, and of course looking ahead to Tuesday if you so wish. From international scene to a couple of people I think deserve our respect. First of all, today, when you actually get knighted, I think you deserve 100% respect, especially if you've got 102 caps for your country. 30 goals as a joint record goal scorer, and you've managed to score over 100 goals north and south of the border. I'm talking about Sir Kenneth Matheson Dalglish, and what a player, what an ambassador, and of course at times I have to say, what a manager as well, Kenny Dalglish, Scott McDonald.
Yeah, what a servant to the game he's been, like you touched on there. Won the Premier League title with Blackburn, a small club at that point. Obviously had a little bit of finance back then, but the job he's done and just what he's done for the Scottish game and what a player he's been, and out with it, playing the game. The amount of stuff that he's done, off the pitch, obviously the tragedy at Hillsborough and the charity that he set up and all the, the work that him and his wife do, he's been fantastic and he thoroughly deserves it.
Yeah, sometimes they say you should never meet your heroes, but he's been a boyhood hero of mine. And, as a little boy, I can remember my sister painting his, face on the wall with the Liverpool strip as well. He was just, for me, a genius. Watching him playing for Celtic and Liverpool was just a joy.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I watched him. I never watched him with Celtic. I watched him with Liverpool.
I'll send you the tapes.
He's a fantastic player. I had the honour, obviously, been in his company a few times. His son Paul, I played under 21s at Scotland with him, and he always had time to take out and ask you how your career was going or whatever. So a fantastic guy, and he deserves that honour.
That must be the first time though a prince has knighted a king though.
Yeah, that's a great shout, by the way. It's a very good shout. Only you could come up with that. Nobody else would have thought about that. Of course, the other great thing about it is we usually have a little room. I hasten to add, it's not called the Green Room because Barry's a regular on the show, but it is called the Sir Kenny Dalglish Room because we've got it adorned with him and his Liverpool strip. So we paid tribute to him. I decided, well, had it as a boy, we'll have it in here for everybody warming up. So many great goals. I have to tell you one thing, and you can give me it as a striker's perspective and, of course, a goal-scoring midfielder. He scored what can only be described as a wonder goal for Scotland against Belgium in an away tie. And the reporter asked him at the end of it, what about that goal? It was world class. And he turned around to the reporter and said, well, it didn't mean anything. We didn't win. And I thought, what a mindset that is, Scott. Yeah,
I think he proved that throughout his career, though. It was all about the winning, wasn't it? And working for his team wasn't about the single accolades like you see with individuals more so, at times like today. He was all about his team, and he was an unbelievable player from what I got to see. Obviously off videos and whatnot, didn't have the pleasure of seeing him, you know, up close and personal. But what a character as well. The times I've met him, you know, when he's been up in Scotland, you're quite in awe every time you're in his company, you know, just to see the feats that he achieved within his career.
Yeah, we've had him on the show 3 times. Ruffy's scared of him. It's amazing when you consider they were international teammates. Now, another man I think deserves a special recognition. Tomorrow, it'll be emotional. He'll have his family there. He'll have a Rangers 11 against his Kilmarnock 11. Chris Boyd's got his testimonial tomorrow at Rugby Park. Your hat off to him, Barry. I mean, record goal scorer in the Premier League. Although I'm told, just again, I had a whisper about it, there's a lot of unrest in their camp ahead of this game.
No, do you know what? He deserves it. He deserves it. I'm gutted I can't play, obviously, because I'm busy. Tomorrow I was looking forward to getting involved, but I'm sure he'll get a great turnout. You just look at what he's done in his career. The trophies he's won, but most importantly, the goals he's scored. I had the privilege of playing with him. A lot of people say he wasn't great outside the box, but inside the box, I tell you what, the guy knew where the back of the net was.
Yeah.
Frightening finisher.
It's funny you say that, because John Robertson at Hearts used to say, well, I'm a striker, I'm paid to be in the penalty box, I'll score goals in there. That's where Boydie gets his wage from.
Yeah, Chris is certainly, you know, that type as well. Obviously I played a short period of time with him at Middlesbrough, and you could see he just come alive in the box. Now, outside the box, questionable at times if he wanted to get involved, but
yeah.
You know what, he was the best within the box that I've ever seen. You could see it in training and within the games. He knew where he was going and what he wanted to do, and he's had a fantastic career. And to do what he achieved last year, you know, off the back of everyone thinking he was finished as well, and for him to start enjoying his football again, it just shows the qualities that he's got, and he's still continuing to try and play there now. And Steve Clarke's done a tremendous job with him, you know, getting the best out of Chris Boyd again.
Yeah, even talk about him getting another season, Barry. That would be some going.
Yeah, listen, he's not playing as much as he did last season, but I think he's a good player to have around. Good for the younger strikers, like Brophy. He's a young guy coming through, doing really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another season at Kilmarnock. Okay,
good luck to Boydie from all of us here on the Football Show. Also, good luck to a young man who used to work with us here at PLZ Soccer. Kevin Harper is the new manager of Albion Rovers. He'll be in charge for his first game. Albion Rovers boss, their game is against Berwick Rangers, so we wish Kevin all the very best of luck. Let's hope he makes a huge success of it. Okay, it's been a good day. Let's hope it's a good day on Saturday for Scotland. Thanks to Barry Ferguson. Thanks to Scott McDonald. Don't forget you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us Monday to Friday. Thanks for watching.